How's celibacy going?
That was like,
Was
one of the, no.
Oh.
I'm still,
like,
still going.
whoa.
Still going. No, that was part of like why I wanted to, I found myself sometimes like, getting into a relationship, sexual or otherwise, or emotional, or even just like dating apps and stuff, as some sort of value fill, right? Like it was a value fill, and then, but it wouldn't last that long. And then I needed like new value, different value, because this one wasn't. And I was realizing, I think I started to, that like, I was taking half of the human population and just like putting them in a category where eventually, a lot of times, if you start an emotional, sexual relationship with somebody, a lot of times that puts a time frame on it, right? Because they'll, you can have a friendship, you can have sex, you can do whatever, but that's either going to end, or then somebody gets into a relationship and then that can't remain as a friendship. And it was like, I'm limiting half of the human population and my ability to engage with it in a way that actually has roots. And so I was like, okay, I got to change that for that. I also was like, I think guys need options I think we're taught that like how much of a man we are, at least I kind of was, is how many girls like you. How many girls like you? How many girls can you get? And that like objective, lots, all of them. Yeah. Or I got to try. I got
huge amounts. Copious.
copious pussy.
And that leads to like the idea of like commodification and female and like people as commodities. And again, it works in both directions, but I think the male, like especially male American, not just American, but is like getting girls equals value. And so that makes society more dangerous. Like it just was like, you have to like really, really see people for people. And if I'm ever going to like look at my wife or daughter, future wife, future daughter, if I have either of those things, and like be able to receive the value that I want to give, I have to value them equally. And and that sounds a little selfish maybe, but like, if I don't value them with the fullness that I hopefully value myself, then eventually I'm going to have to either move on from that person or devalue myself so that we can have equal values. And so if I'm constantly devaluing the person across from me, then like I'm going to have to keep devaluing myself until the relationship stops working. Or we can mutually build value. And then that just overflows into each other. And like, but like,
I feel like I'm listening to you talk about stocks and bonds.
It kind of is. It's very like, but
this is like dating advice from the Federal Reserve.
It is, and not just women, but like people in general of all races, creeds, that like, if I'm like a person who does like value themselves a lot. So like, I like to give that value, but if there's ever a thing where I'm like, I'm like a value differential, then I'm like, I'm misaligned here,
right?
Because I'm not valuing another person in the same way, and that has to like change. And then as soon as that does, then all of the mirrors that you live with, which are our human brothers and sisters here, then they're all reflecting back the value that you feel about yourself because you value them equally. You are equal trade partners with them, and they you. You, them, they, you.
Those are my pronouns too, by the way.
and then it's just a big fucking love fest. Man.
So good. Celibacy is going well.
Yeah. I mean, it's awful. It is truly, truly awful.
Are you having wet dreams?
You don't feel like you've eliminated that need. It's
No, this is actually my first time out of my bedroom since I started. So thank you for getting me out.
Wait, can you whack off when you're
Yeah,
celibate?
I mean, if not, then I'm not celibate.
Yeah.
But no, I ramped that
de-
up.
Are you devaluing your hand right now?
Through the roof.
No, I wasn't gonna stop that. It's been 10 months, and it's been like fascinating how like just the friendships that I've been able to cultivate, and like not putting myself in that category or making myself like hot to the touch as far as like, oh, you're safe to like bring to a dinner with my boyfriend, with somebody's boyfriend, and like all these things that maybe before when I was like, always trying to
Crush puss.
Please.
You can totally say no, but can I tell the story of how you first met my boyfriend over FaceTime? Do you remember this?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So Doug called me primarily to run jokes by me. For something, a roast battle or something, and he called me, and the first thing he says is, "Why is your shirt on?" My boyfriend's sitting right here, and I was like, "Hey, meet my boyfriend." Luckily, he is super chill about that shit, and fucking, I think, loved him immediately. It was like, that's dope.